Rawteur. In 1981, ABC introduced audiences to a bumbling superhero named Ralph Hinkley. Viewers loved it, Warner Brothers didn't. 48 hours before the show's premiere, they sued ABC, claiming it was a blatant Superman ripoff. But was it? Let's break down the allegations with a side-by-side comparison. Warner Brothers alleged that the greatest American hero blatantly copied Superman's signature flying pose, the iconic one-hand-out flight stance. Now, there's no denying that when most people picture Superman flying, they think of that one-armed-out pose. It's one of the most instantly recognizable images in comic book history.
Can't stay still for a second.
However, is it really unique enough to be copyrighted? First, let's talk about Superman's actual takeoff. If you go back and watch Superman the movie from 1978 or Superman 2 that came out in 1980, you'll notice something. Superman doesn't really have a signature takeoff style. He just lifts off. No crouching, no sprinting, no dramatic buildup. He simply defies gravity and ascends into the sky. Now compare that to another flying superhero character like Thor. Now he has a unique way of taking off. Thor throws his hammer and is dragged behind it. So if Warner Brothers was trying to argue that Superman's takeoff was distinctive and legally protected, that was already a weak claim. Now what about Ralph Hinkley's takeoff? In one of the greatest American heroes' early scenes, we see Ralph struggling to fly for the first time. Unlike Superman, who takes off effortlessly, Ralph has to be coached on how to do it.
You're not doing it right. You gotta run like 3 steps and jump with your hands out in front of you.
A young boy that's watching from the distance tells him, take 3 steps, then jump with your hands out. When Ralph finally gets airborne, does he strike the Superman pose on purpose? No. If you watch closely, you'll see that he's holding something in one hand. That's why he's doing the one-arm pose. It's not a heroic stance. It's an accident. And here's the key difference. Superman does the pose because it's his classic heroic flight stance. Ralph only does it when he's holding something in one hand. Otherwise, his arms flail around wildly. This alone destroys Warner Brothers' argument. And honestly, if Warner Brothers really wanted to argue that something about Superman's flight was copyrightable, why didn't they go after one of Superman's actual unique abilities? Like the way he can make other people fly just by holding their hand. Because let's be real, how else is Lois not hanging down? Warner Brothers then argued that the greatest American hero stole signature Superman catchphrases, phrases so iconic that audiences would immediately associate them with Superman. The problem? The most famous phrase, look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's you hitting the like button.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane!
It's Superman.
Now we all know the original line, but what most don't know is that it wasn't even in the Christopher Reeves movies. This line originated in the 1940s Superman radio show and was later popularized in the 1950s TV series and comics. But by the time The Greatest American Hero aired, this catchphrase was already part of pop culture, something everyone knew, no longer something exclusive to Warner Brothers. Now, let's dissect how The Greatest American Hero actually used this phrase.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Ralph Hinkley.
Although Ralph says a variation of this famous phrase, it's not being used seriously. This moment is actually a subversion of the classic Superman trope. We're meant to empathize with Ralph. He wants to be a real superhero, but deep down, he knows he isn't. Instead of using the phrase to build excitement, The Greatest American Hero uses it to set up a touching moment. The audience is led to believe Ralph is about to do something heroic, only for reality to come crashing down. So Warner Brothers' argument that the show was stealing Superman's branding backfired, because in reality, The Greatest American Hero was establishing that Ralph was the antithesis of Superman. One of Warner Brothers' laziest claims was when they argued that Ralph Hinkley cruising over the city at night was too similar to Superman doing the same. But let's be real, how else are superheroes supposed to fly over a city? Are they supposed to zigzag, do backflips, stop at every streetlight? I mean, this is what I call a repackaged allegation, where the studio takes one general superhero trope and splits it into multiple claims of infringement to make it seem like they have more evidence than they actually do. Because this was the same argument as the flight pose. They just reworded it and hoped the judge wouldn't notice. Warner Brothers then accused The Greatest American Hero of stealing the moment where Superman, as an infant, lifts a car over his head. Early in Superman the movie, we learned that Kal-El has superhuman strength when he saves Jonathan Kent from being crushed by his car. Kal-El, aka Superman, aka Clark, lifts cars, sure, but he also lifts trains, buses, and even entire buildings. If lifting heavy objects is enough to count as copyright infringement, then every superhero with super strength is in trouble. But what about Ralph Hinkley's version of the scene?
Hold it! No offense, kid. You can make some decisions. What are you doing?
Damn.
In The Greatest American Hero, Ralph is trying to convince Pam that he's not crazy. So he lifts the car in order to prove that the suit gave him powers. Granted, this scene also displayed Ralph's strength, but I would argue that jumping over a 10-foot gate with a 200-pound grown man is also a display of strength, and it happens before he lifts the car. Therefore, by the time Ralph lifted the car, we already knew he was strong. Lifting the car, while impressive, was more a confirmation than a reveal. At this point, Warner Brothers wasn't just annoyed, they were on a mission. They wanted The Greatest American Hero off the air. They claimed the show tricked audiences into thinking it was connected to Superman. To prove it, they ran audience surveys, and in those surveys, 33% of people said The Greatest American Hero reminded them of Superman. But the court felt that the questions were too general to be of any benefit to the jury with respect to the copyright claim. The survey was deemed inadmissible. Therefore, Warner Brothers' argument collapsed. ABC never marketed the show as a Superman spin-off, so there was no actual deception. But this wasn't just a frivolous lawsuit. Warner Brothers had reason to believe they could win, because they'd already won similar cases before. You see, for decades, Warner Brothers had aggressively defended Superman from perceived copycats, and they had the legal victories to back it up. In the 1940s, they successfully shut down a character named Wonder Man, a superhero created by Victor Fox and Will Eisner. Wonder Man wasn't even a parody or an attempt at subverting Superman. He was just Superman with a different name. He had the super strength, the ability to leap tall buildings, and even a similar backstory. The court ruled that Wonder Man was too similar and forced Fox to stop publishing the character. Then came Captain Marvel, now known as Shazam. Now this was a much bigger fight. In 1941, National Comics, later becoming DC, sued Fawcett Comics, claiming that Captain Marvel was an outright ripoff of Superman. The lawsuit dragged on for 12 years, and in 1953, Fawcett Comics finally threw in the towel, agreeing to stop publishing Captain Marvel entirely. That victory was huge. In essence, Warner Brothers, through DC, had single-handedly erased competing superhero franchises through legal action. At one point, Captain Marvel was selling better than Superman, but none of that mattered in the courtroom. So now, in 1981, they thought they could do it again. They believed they could wipe The Greatest American Hero off the map the same way they did with Wonder Man and Captain Marvel. But there was a problem. This wasn't the 1940s or the 1950s anymore. The superhero genre had evolved. Unlike Wonder Man and Captain Marvel, The Greatest American Hero wasn't actually trying to be Superman. Superman was an icon, tall, powerful, invincible. Ralph Hinkley, on the other hand, was a normal guy with a supersuit he didn't understand. The show was clearly a parody, or at the very least, a deconstruction of the superhero archetype, and the courts were starting to recognize that you can't copyright a genre. Superheroes, by their nature, share tropes. A lot of them fly, many wear capes, and almost all of them save the day. If Warner Brothers won this case, it would mean they could potentially sue any superhero property that was created post-Superman, and the judge wasn't having it. When their argument about audience confusion failed, Warner Brothers pivoted. They doubled down. They argued that the greatest American hero wasn't just a Superman ripoff, it was actively damaging Superman's image. Now this was a bold claim. Warner Brothers was suggesting that Ralph Hinkley made superheroes look clumsy and incompetent. The studio painted a dramatic picture. If audiences saw the greatest American hero, they might start associating all superheroes with goofy antics. The prestige of Superman could be ruined. This might sound ridiculous, but it wasn't unprecedented. Movie studios and TV networks have tried this argument before, but the courts didn't buy that argument back then, and they didn't buy it here either. The judge rejected Warner Brothers' claim outright. Superman was too iconic and too well established to be damaged by one comedic TV show. The court even pointed out that this lawsuit wasn't really about protecting Superman. It was about Warner Brothers trying to control the entire superhero genre. Therefore, the case completely unraveled, and fast. Still, Warner Brothers wasn't ready to let it go. They appealed, hoping another court would see things differently. But in October 1983, the Second Circuit Court shut them down again. The ruling was clear. Copyright protects how an idea is expressed, not the idea itself. The greatest American hero and Superman were two totally different takes on the superhero concept. Also, there was no real competition, no real confusion, and no case. This was a massive turning point for superhero copyright law. Before this case, Warner Brothers had successfully wiped out competitors through lawsuits. After this case, studios realized they couldn't own an entire genre. If Warner Brothers had won, we might not have superhero comedies like Hancock, which make fun of superhero tropes, Mystery Men, which is a team of misfit superheroes with useless powers, or Kick-Ass, which uses satire to depict real-world superhero wannabes. But because they lost, creators were free to explore new superhero stories without fear of getting sued. Here's the funniest part. The greatest American hero didn't even last. It fizzled out in 1983, the same year Warner Brothers lost the case. Not because of the lawsuit, just low ratings, which means Warner Brothers spent 2 years fighting to kill a show that was already dying on its own. They didn't just lose the case, they wasted their time and money. So somehow, the greatest American hero still had the last laugh. This is just one of many Hollywood lawsuits. Check out this one next.